Hi guys, latest video from me for the Dreamcast. This time I just want to showcase a little bit of Cannon Spike quickly. It's a bit of a strange one. It's kind of a mash-up of, I don't know, sort of a mixture of Power Stone and fighting games, and kind of, it's almost got shooter mechanics in it as well, because your character moves around and fires shots at things, and things fire shots back at you, and they fire them back in patterns and stuff like that. So it's got a lot of different mechanics, but it's a relatively boring, not really boring, but it's just a relatively basic game, because the levels are so small, and you just get a dozen or so enemies, and that's it. I mean, obviously every time you play them they get harder. Every time you move up a level they get harder. But it would have been nice if they'd have expanded it, maybe made it into a larger game. It could have been something a lot more. I mean, it's just fairly bland and generic, really. I mean, it's not a bad little game, but they didn't put a lot of effort into it. There's only one game mode that I'm aware of. I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10 if I had to give it a score. Maybe 7 if I'm feeling really generous. So, this is the main menu. That's about it. That really is about it. Five main characters, 2 hidden ones. I don't know if you can unlock any more. Oh, typical. I was going to choose Simone, but it chose Arthur for me. There's 4 or 5 different moves. You move the guy around with the stick, and then when you want to start firing you hold A. Word of warning though, once you start firing, if you hold it down, it keeps it going in the same direction. The fire, I mean. So instead of moving around and firing, you'll strafe and fire in that same direction. So you have to be looking in the right direction before you start to fire. You see what I mean? You can hold the right trigger and he'll lock onto an enemy. Oh yeah, I've forgotten about that. Little special move. Graphics are fairly basic for Dreamcast, I think. You just pick up power-ups and fill up your health. I don't know why it loses the lock on after a while. You piece of shite. There's really not a whole lot to it. This is the sort of game that could have benefited from cooperative online gameplay, if they'd ever sort of come up with something like that back in those days. They should have. You not just go around. This reminds me of House of the Dead, House of the Dead 2. Oh, I hate it when he does that. Maybe it's supposed to remind people of Resident Evil, I don't know. God's sake. So yeah, it's a pretty strange game. I'm not a big fan of it. I'd forgotten how sort of generic it was. See what I mean about the shooting mechanics. This guy's not the best character. I prefer Simone. Never actually played as, well, him. Well, any of them really. Let's have a go at Mega Man, shall we? I don't know, they tried to kind of do a kind of Capcom spin-off type game, I don't know. Like all their like favourite Capcom characters, they just thought, well, let's put them all in a little shooting game. He's not bad, this guy. Anyway, yeah, the story doesn't really differ for any other part of the game. It just sort of seems to be the same, really. Yeah, so that's Cannon Spike. It was one of the last games on the console. You can see why it was kind of, I don't know, it wasn't really received all that well, I don't think, and I suppose it kind of deserves what it got, but nevertheless, it's a neat little game for the Dreamcast, and if you're out there for more games, you might as well pick it up. Anyway, let me know what you think. Any comments or suggestions, send your messages, and I will obviously try and reflect them in my videos. So take care and speak to you soon.